Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David, answering viewer questions. I ask them, they post them, I answer them. This is an interesting one. Veganism and vegetarianism. Had a viewer asking, will this lead to less killing in the world and maybe lead to less war? I'll move past the mottos of meat is murder and stuff like that, and let's look more into vegetarian and veganism. There's some bridging foods. It's interesting. For instance, Impossible Burgers. If you're familiar with that, it's a plant-based product, but they have heme. They've incorporated heme into this plant-based product. Heme is part of hemoglobin, which is part of your red blood cells. It's some proteins with an iron core in the center that chelates things. What the practical part of the heme does is that when you cook an Impossible Burger, you actually get a sizzle with it. You're actually able to caramelize it because of this heme makes it behave like red meat, because red meat has red blood cells in it, and it's going to have heme in it. Meat doesn't have that much blood in it, obviously. It's got juice, but not blood. But that juice will have heme associated with it. If you've ever had an Impossible Burger, it's a little bit drier than a normal burger, but generally speaking, it's very difficult to tell the two of them apart. You wouldn't know that you were eating a plant-based product. Beyond Burgers, I've tried them, not a fan. I've tried other Impossible products, not really a fan. But the Impossible Burger works really well. If you haven't tried it, I'd suggest you try it, do a taste test. You'll notice a juicy difference between a real burger and the Impossible one. But you know what? It's 80 to 90% of the way there. And if you had to get away from eating meat, it's not the worst thing in the world. But I'm going to throw just a couple quick spreads on this. One, will veganism and vegetarianism increase into, will this lead to a decrease in killing of things, including humans? Also, to throw out there, there's also going to be lab-grown meats. So it's another way to have meat without actually killing a living animal to do that. So interesting times we've got coming forward here. Okay, so will veganism, vegetarianism grow? I think there's been a lot of growth already in this. Now, mind you, vegetarianism is a little bit more unique to the United States, but in some countries like India or China, there are a lot of vegetarians in there. And if you got it, this thing's growing on a plant. So vegetarianism, what's good about it, it's sustainable. It's sustainable, and it's environmentally sustainable. Underneath it, and the public's not quite there yet. You know what I mean? Good old red-blooded Americans want their steaks. Rawr. But, there's marketing that has to happen. A lot of people aren't ready to adopt it yet. The Tower, let's see. Celebration and fighting. There's evaluating, it is growing, but there's a lot of turmoil underneath there because I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Vegetarianism is one thing. Veganism is kind of like a religion almost. And that's not to insult the vegan crowd that are watching this, but there's a cult following. I don't know quite the word to put it. Like, vegans will talk about other vegans, like, oh, I like this actor, he's a vegan, or I won't date somebody unless they're a vegan. So there's an ethical choice, there's a moral choice, and it becomes people's lifestyle after a while. So that's why it's saying it's kind of like a religion, because you start associating with people who are vegans. I'm not saying all of them do that, but there is a tendency I have seen for folks to do that. For some people, it's just a non-starter. It's vegetarian and veganism is too much of a change in their world. And that's where products like the Impossible Burger come in, because it's a slower introduction to this concept. And I guess you know what also is, too much of the economy right now depends on eating meat, raising cattle, raising chickens and fish and whatever other meat products that we have, that while vegetarian veganism grows, it has to grow a bit slowly because we have to be able to transition to that. You can't do it overnight. It's going to be a transition. Some people don't want to make the transition. Other people would greatly celebrate that transition. Part of it, I think, is because they will feel healthier. Notice you got your pumpkins and stuff, your gourds growing around here. I think generally speaking, people that have switched to a vegetarian or vegan diet, generally speaking, they feel healthier. And that's not to say that meat makes you not feel healthy, but it might be one of those things where the hormones that they're injecting cattle with when they've got them all shoved in together and stuff may not be the best for our bodies. Okay? Maybe, again, with lab-grown meats, things will be cleaner. You won't need the antibiotics in it. Maybe that'll be healthier for folks who eat it. Okay. Will this lead to a decrease in violence, war, killing of other people or other things? That's an interesting aspect. I hadn't even considered that one until I was reading that comment. Will there be a decrease basically in violence? Well, we'll find out. Entertainment purpose only. Some people are just crazy. It could be on both sides of the fence on that one. Will there be a decrease? Our food choices may not be the biggest driver of this. I think that maybe that's what's telling me. King of Swords. It's making good choices and understanding what the consequences of those choices. I think that's more where they're going to go with this. I'm not saying that the death rate wouldn't go down. I think it would, but there's a lot of other things contributing to the murder of human beings before we get it. Food isn't the top thing on the list. So we have to be judicious on this one. I think you know what also this is. Don't force your lifestyle choices on others. If there's anything that we're learning from the GOP with Roe v. Wade and LGBTQ and the assault on the trans population, is that regardless if you think you've got the moral high ground, and certainly evangelicals think they've got the moral high ground on this, nobody likes it when you force your lifestyle upon them. So you don't like it when they come in and say, you can't have an abortion, you can't have gender affirming care, so don't force them to eat a carrot. Okay? That's their choice. All you can do is control what you do and your circle of friends. So be judicious. Three of Wands in the past. Vegetarian veganism. Again, I think long term, it's about the messaging is going to have to be about sustainability. That this is what's going to help the planet sustain itself through there. Oh God, Seven of Swords. Current situation. Folks aren't ready to hear the message right now. Again, I don't think the industries are set up for this, and so therefore, if you go through a pair of sevens no less, if you go through touting the benefits of veganism and vegetarianism, you're just going to get pushback from people. You're trying to steal our hamburgers. Remember, they went through that whole thing. Woke Democrats want to steal your burgers type stuff, because global warming. But it's for the planet, we're going to have to move away from eating as much meat, or we're going to have to find different sources of meat, whether it's lab grown or whatever, that's more sustainable. Will this knock down murder? Again, not on the short term. Yeah, I know what, I'm not seeing the murder connection. I'm seeing more an environmental connection. The Hermit card, it's illuminating the benefits of veganism and vegetarianism on the world. People have really strong emotions about their food sources. They don't like to be told what to eat and how to eat it. At the same time, people are very passionate that they don't want animals to suffer. I think there's an argument made that if anybody had to slaughter their own animal, there'd be a whole lot more vegetarians in this world. Outcome, temperance. Give it time. This is kind of a new concept for people. You've got to give it time to grow. It's not going to happen overnight. This is going to be a slow growing process, and it will happen over time. You'll get there. Underneath it all is the Page of Pentacles. More young people are engaging in this lifestyle, and it will spread amongst young people. So again, you can look at it this way. More young people will get there, and older people who don't want to embrace that, well, they're not going to live as long. They're not going to live as healthy. And allow for years. It might be years or decades, but the message is going to slowly percolate through, and you're going to find that we might move back to a much more vegetable or vegetarian-based diet where meat's an accent as opposed to the main course. Okay, so that's my thoughts on veganism, vegetarianism. It's the future. It's just how quickly. And be patient with folks, because again, you don't want to force nobody wants to have somebody else's lifestyle rammed down their throat. Okay, that's all. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for supporting my channel. I appreciate it. And I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.